Now we're just going to pick up from where we left off when I saw you guys last time, but today what we're going to do is we're going to shift away from what happened in Vietnam, and we're going to take a look at something that happened really as Vietnam is winding down, but it's kind of just bizarre the way that we get to this point. What we're going to start today is we're going to begin what happens with what's called the Watergate scandal. Now, I'll ask because I get varying responses all the time. Have you guys heard of Watergate? Is it ringing a bell? Yep. Sometimes you're familiar with this, sometimes you're not. So I need to explain kind of what happens in this event and how this, what seems to be kind of small, just tends to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's going to eventually be tied to someone that we've already talked about before. President Nixon is running for re-election in 1972. Now, he won the presidency in '68 by saying, I'm going to draw down American troops in Vietnam. I'm going to start pulling them out, and in order to pull them out, we need to replace them. So we're going to train the South Vietnamese to take over for these American soldiers. He institutes Vietnamization. Now, we talked about this when I saw you guys last week. Does the American public want to get out of Vietnam? They want the war to be over. So when Nixon's running for re-election in '72, he has a very strong campaign. But Nixon is a little bit terrified of the prospect of losing elections. Now, I'm not surprised that he is. Have we seen him lose an election before? Remember who he lost to? He lost to Kennedy. So in '72, he's probably going to win re-election. It's going to happen. The polls are all going his way, but he doesn't want to leave anything to chance. He's willing to do whatever it takes to win again in '72. Now, when the presidential election is held, he wins pretty easily. But there's something that's kind of weird that happens that, like I say, starts small and starts to snowball and get bigger and bigger and bigger. During the campaign, one lowly security guard at a DC hotel is going to catch 5 men in a burglary. Now, when you hear just that fact, you think it's kind of weird because, yeah, it's possible. Burglaries happen at hotels. But when you start looking at some facts here, something's just off. This one security guard at the Watergate Complex Hotel, and this is actually a picture of it. It's in Washington, D.C. You can go see it today. The Watergate Hotel was the campaign headquarters for the Democrat Party in 1972. This break-in was kind of bizarre because there weren't like valuables stolen, and it looked like someone knew what they were doing. There were a lot of things that like a normal burglar wouldn't do. Like, for example, and I can actually use this door here. One of them didn't want there to be evidence of any of the doors being unlocked. So they would put tape on this part of the door so that it wouldn't latch close. So that's very clever, unless you leave the tape there. So here you have the police investigating this burglary going, so wait, nothing was stolen, but you have these kind of sophisticated way of going about things. Something's not adding up here. There are going to be a couple of journalists that start asking some more questions as this burglary goes on trial. Now, when these men are on trial, like I said, there are a few things that just don't seem to fit here. As the evidence is coming out, there are more and more connections to much higher ranking people. In fact, one of these burglars was former CIA operatives. And those CIA operatives were working as advisors to President Nixon. If you worked for the CIA, if you worked for President Nixon, what on earth are you doing breaking into hotel rooms? Something's not making a lot of sense. As more and more evidence comes out, these two journalists, Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein, keep trying to unravel this. Now, they have very much an uphill climb because, like I say, this evidence just isn't making sense. These burglars didn't take anything of value, but they did take campaign secrets. And we're not 100% certain, but probably they were leaving wiretaps behind as well. Now, why do you think they're taking information and leaving wiretaps? Why would they do this at the Democrat campaign headquarters? What are they trying to figure out? The burglars, I mean. What do they want to steal? Yes, ma'am.
Information on how the Democrats are planning to elect.
Absolutely. Things are starting to kind of connect in certain ways, where instead of a burglary, now you start thinking, no, these guys were out to figure out what the Democrats were doing. They wanted to know the campaign secrets. Woodward and Bernstein start pulling on these threads and find that this is starting to get bigger and bigger. It gets to a point where Woodward and Bernstein are going to meet up with an individual who says he has inside information on what was going on here. But their contact is very nervous. And he tells these journalists, if anyone finds out my identity, they're going to kill me and throw me in the Potomac River. So they need to be very careful about this. Woodward and Bernstein will meet this contact in a parking garage, and this guy is dressed in a trench coat with a big brim hat and sunglasses on and in the shadows, and they're talking to him and it just says, follow the money. Where does the money lead? Just follow the money. So these journalists start printing these stories in the New York Post. And whenever they print them, they start getting more and more information. And sometimes even more people are coming out of the woodwork to give them more information. It gets to a point where these stories are starting to link up, and it's very possible that Nixon, then the president, not only knew what was going on, but put these burglars up to it. So the Senate launches an investigation. Now I will tell you, the Senate has a lot of power when they do launch an investigation. They can ask for a lot of evidence. Right here, if Nixon would have admitted to everything, would it have been a big deal? Yeah, probably. If he said, I knew what these men were doing, and I sent them to go steal some campaign secrets, I'm sorry. Yeah, it would have been bad. But you know what's worse than admitting it? Trying to cover it up. There's an old saying that says the cover-up is always worse than the crime. When Nixon starts being connected to this, he has a famous quote where he says, I welcome this Senate investigation. The American people need to know if their president's a crook. And I'm not a crook. So I'm ready for this to clear my name. The Senate starts asking some questions, and all of these facts are starting to line up. But Nixon always said, I don't know what you're talking about. I've never met these people before. I'm unfamiliar with that. He doesn't really cooperate. But there's going to be a big problem for him in that we're going to see that different conversations in the White House are on recorded tape. Now, I don't know if Nixon forgot about the recordings or if he just simply started thinking that no, it wasn't recording when I was talking about this, but there are tapes of him speaking to people in the White House about what's going on. We'll have to talk next time about those tapes going forward. So with that said, have a good day. I will see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you.
So what did you do on Friday?
From Friday, you missed some lecture notes, so you gotta be certain you get those.
Okay. Is it on Schoology?
It is, as best I can, yeah. Oh, yeah, and we did this other thing that you can't really make up.
Oh.
So as long as you get those lecture notes, you should be good.
Okay.
Okay?
Do you know where 209 is?
Well, what is it, sorry?
Room 209 is?
If you go upstairs, I think if you turn right, it's down that hallway.
Okay.
No.